Hello, friends. Do you find yourself struggling with negative emotions? Do you often feel powerless, not powerful? Negative emotions mean one thing, that you are giving your power away because life is supposed to be fun. So, in this video, I'm going to go over the problems and the solutions to making this so. My name is Miss Carol. I'm a former career teacher, now here with you, sharing everything that I've learned on my healing journey so that you can create your unique path of wellness and spiritual awakening. Feelings like fear, resentment, anxiety, loneliness, shame, anger. In essence, we are giving our power away. We're giving our power away by not being accountable for our emotions and behaviors. That's all that negative emotions are. That's all that any emotion is. Emotions are just data. They are just a means to giving you information, providing you information, so that way you can find yourself moving down one end of an emotional scale. Because unfortunately, that's where we find ourselves. We rush to want to get out of these negative emotions, and we kind of just rush in a hurried way without giving reverence to the emotion itself. Because whatever emotion you are feeling is valid, it's necessary, it's information. It is attempting to communicate something to you. So take it serious and give it the attention that it deserves. The first problem that we have when we are stuck in these negative emotions, which give our power away, is that, excuse me, we are so unconscious of our energetic output. We are all manifestations of energy. And when we are unconscious about the energy that we are putting forth into the universe, that's how things can feel very chaotic. That's how we cannot feel grounded in the power and in the strength of who we are. That's when you give your power away, because you are, in essence, giving to your lower self this energy that is going to be there regardless if it's positive or negative. But being conscious about your energetic output is so vital. I grew up with a mother that was very unconscious about her energetic output. And as a result of it, after years and years of attempting to get on the same page with her, I really had to step back and reassess and say, okay, this relationship is not good for my wellness. So I have to step back. I have to step all the way back. You can feel that energy when people come into the room. Do they light it up? Do they bring it down? Be conscious about your energetic output. Nobody wants to, everybody has things that we're dealing with. Everybody has issues. Handle them in such a way with care, but be accountable for them. The next thing that we do is we are addicted to blaming our negative emotions. It's because of this, it's because of that, it's because, of this person or that situation. When you are pointing the finger, you have so many more pointing back at you. Adults take responsibility and accountability for their behaviors, their thoughts, and their emotions. There is no way to build your unique emotional language without taking accountability for them. All of them, because again, life is supposed to be fun. We are supposed to be here living intentionally full of energy. That's kind of like a silly acronym I just came up with on the fly. But when we get addicted to the cycle of shame and rejection and fear, it's like we create a narrative that inevitably people just fall into. You create a character of yourself, and then you get upset when people treat you according to the behavior and the energy that you put out. Well, Don't tell me that you're a liar. Don't tell me that you're cynical. Don't tell me that you know you're full of fear and not expect me to act accordingly. It's so amazing to me the way that people speak of themselves to people they don't even know and then act as if, they're the one with the problem as opposed to the source of, you know yourself better than I do. So if you're telling me that you're a liar, I have no reason not to believe you. So addiction to the blame, addiction to being the victim. You know, Another thing that we often feel is that our thoughts are thinking us, that we don't have control over our thoughts because it feels like they are thinking us. And this is where developing a spiritual practice is crucial because it will help you to separate yourself from yourself. And, being comfortable in the paradox of spirituality is just something that, is not only funny, but you're going to have to get used to. Because when you talk about yourself, you can talk about it in such a way where yourself, yes, is your thoughts and your feelings. That's a small s. But when you're speaking of yourself in terms of the grander scale of your spirit, that's a capital S. Those things cannot be differentiated and mean the same thing. Your thoughts are thinking you only because you have practiced them. Anything that you practice, anything that you focus on, is going to create more of. That's just physics. And I'm not a scientist. I thought for a little hot minute that I was going to go to medical school, but then I got into my second physics class and I was just like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to be a doctor because this don't make no kind of sense. So, you be responsible again of your energetic output because your feelings are creating your thoughts. Your thoughts are not creating your feelings. So when you develop a spiritual practice, so you can begin to separate yourself with a small s from the big self with a big S, then you can see that, who is actually thinking these thoughts? Who am I actually talking to? Is anybody actually out there? These questions that we have, they don't come from nowhere. They are your spirit attempting to assert itself, but it's never going to scream at you. It's never going to be aggressive. It's never going to bowl you over. It's going to come very quietly, very subtly. So it's like having a radio dial that you turn a little to the left. Nobody listens to the radio anymore, but I'm from a generation where we used to listen to the radio and, you switch it a little to the left, you turn the knob a little to the right, you get static, you get something else, but you got to find that right alignment to where you can hear that song. So what are some solutions when we find ourselves giving away our power to these negative emotions? Having a negative emotion and acting on it are two completely different things. I'm going to say that again. Having a negative emotion and acting upon it are two different things. This is not about eradicating your fear, your rejection, your loneliness, your shame. This is not about erasing this from your consciousness. That is never going to happen. This is about deepening your consciousness, deepening your spiritual self, your energetic output to such a way that you can feel an emotion and not display it. Authenticity has gotten a bad rap over the last few years because people believe that they need to show up as their authentic selves when, in essence, they're just kind of putting it all out there. Be genuine. Don't be authentic. Not everybody needs to know your innermost thoughts, your innermost feelings. Keep things to yourself. You are a sacred being. Your thoughts and your feelings are your data. They don't belong to anyone else. So be mindful that just because you have a negative thought does not mean you have to display it, does not mean you need to act upon it. The second thing is as you evolve, as you deepen your spirit, as you widen your consciousness, the challenges that you experience will meet you at the level at which your consciousness can recognize them. We often feel like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. How am I going to handle this? Well, things don't just happen. We bring them about. We have to take responsibility of all aspects in our life. We can't live any I think it was A Course in Miracles that said, your spirit, you have to take 100% accountability for your experiences in order to live a spiritual life. Not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, 100% of the time. And the challenges that come into your life, because again, this is not about abdication. This is not about, they're going to disappear forever. The challenges are going to meet you where your consciousness actually is. So if it is in your life, trust and believe you have the spiritual wherewithal and wellness to handle it. The third thing is that, again, life is supposed to be fun. Look for the fun, look for the joke, look for the humor, look for the irony. Irony most of the time is funny. We spend so much time in our logical mind that they're trying to figure things out and trying to get people to understand, that we neglect, the more playful and emotional other parts of our brain. Use your whole mind. If you have a challenge that normally you would attempt to solve one way, think outside the box. Be creative. Okay, how can I apply a more playful means to solve this problem? How can I apply a more holistic, approach to this endeavor? Give yourself the latitude to express yourself in a myriad of ways. Nobody is a monolith. Nobody is one-dimensional. Give yourself the autonomy to express yourself in as many different ways that is necessary in order for you to get from one side of an emotional manifestation to the other. And have patience, because it's going to take time. It's going to take some time to get to life is supposed to be fun. But use it as a signpost so that you can, 1 foot at a time, like it's almost like dancing. If you dance and you're trying to just dance on the left foot, it might be fun for a little while, but like you need both feet to move. You need the left and the right, Oh my gosh, these analogies that I come up with, crazy. So your negative emotions are giving your power away. Take your power back. And here's the question that you need to ask yourself. There's only one question to take your power back. And I want to make sure that I get it correctly. What is it that I'm thinking about you that's keeping me from who I really am? Do you see how that's taking accountability for your experience? What is it that I'm thinking about you that is keeping me from who I really am? Asking this one question will get you out of your negative emotion and allow you to retain your power, because power cannot be taken. Power can only be given. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to me. I am happy to clarify anything that is a little confusing. Please watch this next video, and I will see you next time, my friends. Be well.